Oh, well, the truth is always important. And in today's fabulous, fast-paced, crazy, chaotic, somewhat world, I personally think the truth is more important. The reality is the media can sniff untruth, and well as your customers, as well as your potential clients, as well as your leads and referrals. So just tell the truth,
Martians landed.
Yes.
Wearing Prada suits.
Yes.
Drinking Henry Seltzer.
Yes.
Chewing juicy fruit.
Yes, and?
Your branding here.
Yes, brand.
Your message here.
Yes, and?
A verse about
Yes.
your product here.
Yes.
I'm Hersh Redmond.
Yes, and?
I'm a message therapist.
Yes.
And I have a podcast.
Yes, brand.
That's right, that's it.
Yes.
We'll help you fix the world.
Yes.
Or your bottom line.
All right.
Your bottom line.
Get it. I get it. Welcome to the Yes Brand Podcast.
In the hot seat today on Yes Brand is Jill Lublin. Jill is a 25-plus year media magnate. She's a world-renowned publicity expert. She's an international speaker, a 4-time best-selling author. As if that weren't enough, she's shared the stage with celebrities like Tony Robbins and Barbara Corcoran and Jack Canfield, to name just a few. She's worked with over 100,000 clients, implementing her signature formula of getting media attention and creating next-level visibility in the marketplace. And that obviously results in boosted sales, which leads to profits and happiness and a wonderful experience for all involved. We met on the Marketers Cruise in the beginning of the year, and I just really enjoyed listening to her speak, and we really hit it off. So welcome to the show, Jill Lublin.
Thank you, Hersh. I'm delighted to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. You know, I started out in public relations. I didn't actually intend to be a publicist, but I was representing directors of TV commercials, as a lot of my listeners know, and my favorite part of that was writing their bios and doing their PR. But it was very niche. It was very specialized. How did you get into the business?
In a way, in a very niche, specialized way too, because I started out in the music business, specifically with artists, helping them both on management side, but also then on specifically PR side. I worked with 4 independent record labels and just really loved the music business, and like everything, kind of worked my way through that and got a little burnt out because working with musicians by day and then concerts at night, I know, oh, poor me, but it was tiring.
Yeah.
And wonderful. And I'm glad for the experience, because what the music business taught me, Hersh, was that it's really all perception, right? I mean, especially in the music business, especially in the artistic areas. But then I shifted my focus to entrepreneurs and small business owners and really got a wonderful way to start to serve them.
Yeah. As speaking of which, one of your books is called The Profit of Kindness. And so talk a little bit about that heart-centered part of doing business.
What I find, like you and I connected on a cruise, we connected personally, eye to eye, heart to heart. And now, in these days, I don't even think you need to be in person. A lot of this is relationship marketing. And what kindness does, in other words, being kind to people, seeing how you can serve them, helping them with, ideas, and just in a give mode. What's wonderful about that is that kindness gives you an edge. I know it sounds funny, but it's true. And that people, when you are that with them, become, your best marketing cheerleaders, I'll call it, and people who are referral partners, and people who say, oh, well, go check out Jill. She's fabulous for publicity and visibility, and she's great at branding. And, they just start talking about you, and that's the kind of talking about you want.
Yeah. Jill, it's funny because when I started podcasting a few years ago, that's when I really started to meet a lot of people outside of the industries that I had specialized in. And that was great for me because I was able to broaden my horizons. But what I noticed was this emphasis on kindness, emphasis on giving, emphasis on mentorship, all these really nice traits that I didn't necessarily think going into it that I was going to see it. And then I thought, oh, maybe this is just a reaction to the pandemic. People are feeling a little more empathy. Maybe that's what it is. But I realized that, like you point out, it's good business to be kind and to help others. But it's also like if someone walks into a room and everybody's being kind to one another, they're more likely to pick up on that and emulate it. And even if they came in angry or they came in defensive, or protective or whatever it might be, they're going to warm up as a result. And it's going to just create an atmosphere. And I think what's wonderful is I see it particularly in entrepreneurship. I see a very collegiate kind of feel among people who are all trying to do, as well as they possibly can, but without the other person winning, there's no win. I always say, in order for myself to win, someone else has to win too.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, what is it? But tell me a little bit about how you kind of rose to prominence. What was your path?
Well, I love being called rose to prominence. Thank you. And the truth is, part of the path is staying on the path. So one of the things I've done is stayed very consistent on publicity, and I've been doing it close to 30 years and recreating and reinventing myself, reinventing my offerings. As opposed to in-person publicity boot camps and courses, I now do everything on Zoom, and I call it my Media Mastery Intensive. I bring media there, and actually on Zoom, people can pitch them. I mean, I'm doing unique and unusual things, and I think that's a part of, I don't try to rebrand all the time. I just add on, I increase my offerings, and funny, have decreased some of my prices. So that's been super cool. And I think staying in a lane and getting known for it has been really, for me, very wonderful. I've been able to build a very good reputation, and people know me as in this lane. It has made a big difference. The truth is, with the profit of kindness, for me, that was like, oh, that's a different, piece to add in. But it is interesting. I found myself looking at this book, and then I compared it to my other books one day. And I'm going, okay, how does kindness fit into business? And because my books are all business books. And of course, that's what I just mentioned about really giving you the edge in business. And the truth is, kind companies get more publicity, and especially in today's unique time. And then I added in another service in my business, which is called the Kindness Circles. And I love that. And in fact, at the end, I'd love to give people a link for that. It's completely free, and my free gift too. But, I think that it's really important that you keep looking. How can I add in, give more value? And what can I do to be better for me? Right. So yeah, that's always what I'm looking at. And so, yeah, I stay in masterminds. I invest in myself. I have coaches and consultants for me, just as I'm a coach and consultant for others. So it makes a difference.
That's another thing that it's funny. My father was an attorney, and, there's continuing education for every field. There's things. And I had always thought, when my dad would be doing one of these like courses or something like, I was like, what do you need? What does anybody need to learn anything for? You went to law school, you have experience, you're an attorney. What do you need? What are you going to learn from, what's continuing education? Same thing with my father-in-law, who's a doctor, and I was like, then as an entrepreneur, I came to appreciate the fact that we're always evolving. We're always learning. I have coaches, you have coaches, coaches have coaches. Everybody has someone that teaches them something that they don't know. That's the bottom line. Unless you know everything, you really need someone to help you. Let's talk now about publicity. let's talk about the world of publicity, because I actually, I have seen it evolve. When I was starting out, even in my niche, it was about going to trade publications with your clients and getting them coverage. But that, all of that stuff with print contracting and online exploding and, and markets getting flooded and recessions and all this other stuff, a lot of things change. What's the state of publicity now of the business, and how does it work these days?
So here, listen, call me an eternal optimist, but here's the good news. Publicity has more opportunities for everybody to come forth and get some, more than it ever has before. Before you would have to, as they would say, get through the gatekeepers and, the producers as well as editors of magazines, producers of TV shows and radio shows. They were harder to get to. Here's what's interesting. Because of all the online explosion, not only do you have more opportunities to get press, like here we are right now talking, more podcasts than ever before.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that is an incredible opportunity for most entrepreneurs to get at least a podcast a week, if not a month, certainly, to be on, to talk, to get more exposure, to hit different markets and to be seen and heard. I love that. On top of that, through social media platforms like LinkedIn, Instagram, you have the LinkedIn Lives, the Instagram Lives, TikTok, etc., where you can be seen and control your message and be giving out great ideas to people, continuously. So that's been amazing. Are some newspapers going away? Okay, some newspapers are going away. There's still enough. There's still print exists. I don't think people should panic. Listen, I work a lot with authors and speakers, consultants and coaches. And things have changed in, let's say, the publishing industry, but then other things expand. So I think in publicity, it's the same way. And, not only are you on a TV show, but then you live in their archives. And that's amazing. Not only, like, for instance, with the Profit of Kindness, I was in Inc. magazine and Forbes magazine twice, talking about kindness in business. That lives on in their archives on the internet. To me, it's just so everything, in my opinion, is doubled. And that far makes up for a few newspapers going away. Magazines have gone online, many of them, again, increasing readership and reach. For instance, right here, when I do my media mastery intensive, I have press come in and people get to actually pitch them right there on the spot. So one of the women has a radio show. Her radio show in Northern California has now gone international.
Wow.
What's called terrestrial radio. It's a real live radio show. And guess what? Now she's got an international audience. Well, because of the pandemic. So great for her, great for all the people pitching, great for the guests. How wonderful reach has increased. So I'm excited about it. And I think that's the state of media. Not only do you have all of your local affiliates, but you have such more national and international possibilities. And to me, podcasts are the cream on the what is it? Cream in the milk, whatever it is. Frosting on the cake. That's it.
Right.
I think
the cream rises to the top. That's the phrase about the cream, but the icing on the cake or the cherry on top.
Yeah, that's it.
Either way, they're selling desserts. That's what I know. That's what I'm getting from this. The people who sell desserts are doing fine. They're always going to do fine because everything gets compared to how delicious something can be.
Yeah, good point. So I say great news, everyone. Media's expanded. And it's an opportunity for you to magnetize, to monetize, and to multiply. And it's really a gift that keeps on giving.
And let's talk about, strategy, and my area is messaging. Personal branding in particular, and messaging. Now, with personal branding and personal brand strategy being part of the game, where where do you see a difference or similarities between corporate branding PR and PR for a personal brand?
Mm. So I think that you have to somewhat make a decision at some point. There is the brand called the business, right? And I think that's could be see, I'm thinking from a publicity piece.
Right. Yeah.
From a publicity perspective, to me, there's one message. I don't actually care if it's your name delivering it. And on the whole, from a publicity perspective, I would say I want name recognition, or what I like to call the I've heard of her somewhere syndrome,
Mhm.
or your name recognition, unless you're Coke or, Nike. And of course, that's brand recognition for a product. But I think if you're a service provider, an entrepreneur, a small business owner, we also got to know you. We got to know the
Mhm.
heartbeat, soul of the business, and that's you. So I think name recognition in a publicity perspective is key. And I do want your name quoted in an interview. I want, your company name obviously quoted in an interview. And that way, when there's Google searches, either way they remember it, we got a hit. And that's really, you want to be most memorable, whatever way that is.
Yeah. I appreciate your saying that, because often people just because they're so passionate about the business, they prefer to stay a little bit behind the business, and let it says, it's the business that matters, the business that matters. But that is so true, especially in today's world with the platforms that exist and the ability for people to step up and step out front. It's super important.
And
Another,
I'm just going to
yeah,
add on to that.
Oh, please.
And more personal, because I do think in today's world, people want trust. They want to connect with you. They want authenticity, and all of that is because we know you, because we've seen you, and that makes a big difference. So I do
Yes.
always think that let that come out. Let your energy be you. And people go, oh, well, I'm not an extrovert. Doesn't matter. Who cares?
Yeah.
Be you. Whatever part that is, but certainly publicity allows you to shine that through.
Yeah. Yeah. And another part of the publicity thing that, I shied away from Hollywood publicity because it seemed like so much of it was rooted maybe in artifice or in spinning, or, and then with corporate PR, it was crisis management and again, spinning away from the truth. In this post-truth kind of world, as some would call it, how important is the truth in publicity?
Oh, well, the truth is always important. And in today's fabulous, fast-paced, crazy, chaotic, somewhat world, I personally think the truth is more important. The reality is the media can sniff untruth, and well as your customers, as well as your potential clients, as well as your leads and referrals. So just tell the truth. It's a lot faster. It cuts through the BS, and let's just be straight. And that means when something happens, okay, here's a great one. You remember Odwalla, when frankly some people drank a juice that they had put out,
Right.
and
Right.
they died.
Right.
I mean, it was serious. Okay. Odwalla came out and they said, we are really sorry. We screwed up. Here's what we're doing to rectify it. And you know what? Their product sales are better than they've ever been.
Yeah.
Then there's Exxon. They spilled gasoline all over the ocean, and they basically deflected responsibility, didn't do enough to clean it up that they should have. And people still talk about the Exxon spill.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago. That's what I'm saying. Like these what would I call it? These ghosts can haunt you. And I prefer no skeletons in the closet. Just be straight. Here's what's up. Here's what I can serve you. If you screw up, you apologize. That means to your clients. But, really from a press perspective, which of course we're talking about is publicity, I'm not concerned for most of you who are watching this about negative press. The reality is the press does want you to succeed. They do. They want good interviews, good people. They want to be sure that they're serving their readers, viewers, and listeners. That's what the press cares about. You be a good guest. You give good value and benefit. I promise you, good things will happen.
Yeah, well said. Well said. The last thing that I want to cover is your Guerrilla publicity. It caught my eye when I met you. It really caught my eye, and that's because one of the things I used to do was grassroots marketing. So I was aware of, I was in LA and doing all these things on the ground that were, stirring up conversation, stirring up talk. Now in today's world, everybody's got, obviously a camera and the means to record and the means to communicate. What were you going for with Guerrilla publicity? What lessons did you want to share?
So the big thing for Guerrilla publicity is simple, effective tactics that you can use without spending a fortune. As we call it, maximum sales for minimum dollars. That's
oh, nice. Right. Okay. Great subhead. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we want. We want to serve entrepreneurs to make good impact. To me, publicity is about contribution, having influence and impact. And when you use guerrilla publicity tactics, what's wonderful, and by the way, we've been talking about some of them. What's wonderful about that is you have the ability to reach a lot more people, to quickly get in front of them, and frankly, have the kind of what I would call ability to manifold and multiply your impact quickly, which is what publicity does. It's a one-to-many concept.
Yeah.
So guerrilla publicity is about ways to do that simple and easily. And I'm a big believer in that. Listen, if you want to give me $5,000 to $10,000 a month, that's great. And that's what most PR agencies charge, $5,000 to $10,000 a month. And you have, a $30,000 plus commitment. I've put together programs under $197, because my whole thing is I want to give people simple things to do quickly, have access to media, know that it's possible. And that is every kind of business, small and large. Mostly mine are small business owners that I work with, because they're the ones that don't have the big budget. But the truth is, there's so many things that you can do that are simple and easy. And that's what guerrilla publicity is.
And as you pointed out, Jill, not every company with bottomless coffers manages to do make the right choices with their PR. So as I always like to give my guest the last word, but before you give us maybe a thought on for the rest of 2024, what would be some words of inspiration from the PR point of view, but first tell us where to find you. And I believe you have a gift for our listeners as well, which will be in the show notes. But if you want to share that.
I'd love that. Thank you. So what I've done is I created an action guide for all of you filled with guerrilla publicity ideas, and super great, there's a free publicity action class that's actually live with me on Zoom. And I'm there. I'm going to pour great content into you and answer some very specific questions. So it's all in publicitycrashcourse.com/free gift. Please come, please join us. And we'll also put a link for the kindness circles in the show notes, and come join us. Keep being kind, keep spreading your word around, because that's what's really key. And my last word to all of you is that your message matters. Publicity is going to be the vehicle to spread that simply and widely. And I look forward to helping you on the journey on the way.
All right.
If you liked the show,
Yes, and
it worked for you,
yes, and
subscribe and leave a
yes, friend.
5-star review.
Yes, friend.
Tell all your friends.
Yes, friend.
Get your branding here.
Yes, friend.
Get your branding here.
Yes, friend.
Did I make it clear?
Yes, friend.
Get your branding on
Yes.
before they're gone.
Yeah. Huh?